beneficiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Testimonial Monday, and our topic for today is breast cancer, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roland. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I spoke with breast cancer survivor Frankie Parker, and we discussed learning to breathe after a breast cancer diagnosis. And we also got to hear her newly released single, Breathe. You can head on over to YouTube and type in Intellectual Radio. Stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, when cancer happens, you don't have to put life on hold. You live it now. And here is your trending topic for today. According to CNN, the Department of Education is penalizing one of its student loan service centers contractors for failing to send billing statements on time to 2 million borrowers early this month when payment resumed after more than a 3-year pause. More than 800,000 federal student loan borrowers were late making their payments as a result of this mistake made by the servicer Mohila, according to the Department of Education on today. The department is withholding $7.2 million from Mohila's October's payment and has directed the student loan servicer to place all affected borrowers in forbearance, which is a period during which the payments are not required, and the interest is actually frozen until the issue is resolved. Borrowers whose bills were correct but missed a payment will not face the normal financial consequences. Until September the 30th of 2024, a borrower won't be reported to the credit bureau for default, and which can actually damage your credit score, but they will still accrue interest and won't be entirely off the hook. So that is your trending topic for today. For some of you out there that still owe on your student loans, that's important information for you to know. I'm so grateful for my sponsor on today, who is Pastor Michael Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel COGIC at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel COGIC-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we are from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
That is our sponsor. I'm so grateful for this weekend, you guys. Warriors Talk celebrated 7 years. Yes, 7 years that we have been doing the gala celebration for survivors. And we had a packed house. We awarded 18 survivors. They had awards, they had swag bags, and we had 4 honorees that we showed some special attention to. They got to share their stories. And then we gave away $500 to a warrior that was in battle. I'm so grateful. This was year number 7, which is the year of the year of endings. It is, but next year is the year of new beginnings. So I'm so excited about next year and glad that this year is over with and it was successful. So I'm so grateful to my supporters, to my donors, and to the survivors that came out, showed up. We had a fashion show. They got a chance to strut their stuff on the runway. It was just an amazing, amazing event. And I was trying to say 7 is the year of completion, and the 8th year is the year of new beginnings. So year 8, Warriors Talk is going to be doing something different. So just stay tuned. keep rocking with us because I'm just excited about what God is going to do. If you are tuned in on any form of social media, like the show, share the show, invite someone else in on the show that you feel may benefit from this valuable information. I'm so grateful for my guest on today who agreed to come on and share her wisdom and her experience with breast cancer with us. She is from the Westside of Chicago, a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and a 1-year triple positive breast cancer survivor. And she is the 4th woman in her family to survive breast cancer. Welcome to Warriors Talk, Dr. Tiffany White. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear your journey and just all of the wisdom that you're going to deposit on us today.
Well, thank you. October, even though we celebrate breast cancer awareness and bring it to light and make sure that everyone talks about it, I do this 365 now. I was diagnosed in October of 2021. And I was on a trip a month prior. And I came home and I thought I had a mosquito bite, okay? Because I was in the islands. I was in St. Lucia. And so the mosquito bite that I thought was a mosquito bite, I said, I'll give it 3 days, before it goes away. And it didn't. So I called my gynecologist and I scheduled a visit for an exam. And he said, yeah, I do feel it. And next thing you know, I went through the biopsy 2 days later. 2 days after that, I was called back into the office because it was indeed breast cancer. And so to be given that type of news was a shock to me, but not quite. Because as you stated, I am the 4th woman in my family to be diagnosed with breast cancer. My mother, my sister, my sister's daughter, then me. And so it was a surprise. It'll always be a shock no matter what, but then again, it wasn't. And so I feel like now it is my ultimate mission to talk about this, entire journey. I actually documented my entire journey on social media from beginning to end, from day one all the way to today. And so it is my goal to just make everyone aware of this, no matter the age. Breast cancer can affect anyone at any time.
How old was the first person that was diagnosed, the first woman?
The first woman was my mother. So that was in 2007, and she was in her 50s.
Do you know if your mother had genetic testing at that time? Was it offered to her at that time?
It was. So my mother had genetic testing at that time, and her genetic testing came back negative, saying that there were no traces of it being genetic.
And how old was the second person?
And so the second person was my sister, and she was in her 40s.
40s. So they're still pretty young being diagnosed with breast cancer. Still pretty young.
Absolutely. I just know when I was much younger, people who were diagnosed with breast cancer were, our elder age, our grandmothers. We think about our great grandmothers, our, older aunts and things like that. I don't recall seeing this many young people with breast cancer like I see today.
I feel like they still hold on to the same age. Like this is a older person's disease, 65 and older. That's what I think they're still holding on to that. And I feel like they need to change some of the criterias, that they have set, because some people get the misconception thinking, I think people still think that because when they're diagnosed younger, they're surprised. Like, wait a minute, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 20s. They said, according to research, according to statistics, this is an older person's disease, and that could be deceiving.
Very, because it was recommended that the first mammogram happens at 50. And now I agree with you. That needs to be changed. I think it needs to be lowered to 30, honestly. That was my niece's age when she was diagnosed. So it was like, you have to now be proactive and not rely 100% on the medical field. Don't just sit there and talk about breast cancer as if it is something that only our elders get, because it's not true. Look at me, look at my niece, look at, my sisters and things like that. And if I would have solely relied on a mammogram, and I'll tell you, I started with that story of when I was diagnosed because I found my own cancer. I am an advocate of doing self-breast exams, okay, because of my mom and my family history. So every month, faithfully, I did my self-breast exam at home. And I started getting mammograms in my early 30s because of my mom and my family history. And so I had a clean mammogram in February of 2021, clean. Nothing. They showed nothing. And I had very dense breast tissue. And so they had to give me an ultrasound and a mammogram because I had really dense breast tissue. And so in February, they were like, oh, all clear. See you next year. I said, okay. But because I did my due diligence and observed my body and noticed that this mass appeared, which really wasn't even a mass. And I want to debunk that myth because I actually just had a hardened area. I didn't have a circular lump like some women think, and like most believe, and some do. But mine was just a hardened area. Like I said, I thought I got bit by something. And so if I had not found that in September of 2021, I don't know what would have happened if I would have waited the extra 5 or 6 months to get my next mammogram. And sometimes we don't do things on time. What if I said, oh, I didn't have time to do it in February and didn't end up doing it to April? And when I was diagnosed, I was already stage 2 going into stage 3. And so no telling how quickly it could have really escalated between the time I found it and my next mammogram.
Because you don't know how aggressive that cancer is. Yeah. So you get a clean mammogram and some women will think, oh, I'm good. I ain't got to worry about that scary situation for a whole year, and just go on about their lives thinking that everything is okay.
That's true. And I met someone yesterday who was 2 months clean, 2 months clean of a mammogram, and discovered a mass. And when she went to the doctor, she was stage 3 within 2 months. So cancer these days is really aggressive. It's not always a slow moving creature.
True. And I'm just wondering about the screening tools that they're using that is not catching these lumps. And I know when you have dense breasts, you should not just be getting a normal mammogram. Like you said, you got the ultrasound and you got the diagnostic mammogram. You shouldn't just be getting a regular screening mammogram because it's not going to be able to really see it or catch it. And so some people may not even know that they have dense breasts. So if your doctor is not even telling you, ask the question. Ask, do I have dense breasts? Should I be, or can I get a different type of mammogram because my breasts are dense?
Yeah, and I really want to define what that means because a lot of women don't understand what dense breasts mean. I was a woman who was really, robust in size when it came to breasts. I was a triple D. Okay. I was a triple D and I had super dense breast tissue, which means that the tissue is very tightly put together. And when they go to look at it with the mammogram, it's like looking at a wall. It's literally like trying to scan through a wall, and you can't catch everything because it's very cloudy. It's very difficult to see through. It's like flying through the clouds. That's literally what it's like. And so dense breast tissue oftentimes get missed. Things get missed in dense breast tissue. And I agree, they need to update the equipment. I mean, if they can see into space and go way down deep in the ocean, I think they can get deeper into this breast tissue too. That's just my personal opinion.
I totally agree. Dawn says her grandmother, her mother, herself, her niece, and her cousin. And then she was diagnosed herself at 39.
Wow.
A niece and a cousin, they didn't have the gene.
Yeah. All 4 of us had genetic testing done, and it came back negative.
Yes.
We did not have the gene. And we went to 4 different doctors.
That's crazy. My test came back negative, and then my daughter, who's 25, was, went to get her annual, and she was talking to her daughter about her history, and they brought up genetic testing, and she was asking me about it, and I said, well, mine came up negative, but that has nothing to do with you. You could still take your own test and see what it tells you, because at the time I took mine, there were probably not a lot of different tests out there was testing for the different types of genes. They have more that have come, so you can get tested, and yours may say something totally different. And I pray that it doesn't, but
testing as well. They really do need to update the testing as well, because for us 4 to all be birthed from my mother, okay, we all came out of the same woman, and we all carry the same genes, and to be told, oh, it's not genetic. Yeah, it's either genetic or environmental, or it's something that we're just not picking up.
Right. So I know they say, like, when you have certain people, family members, they're all getting the same type of cancers. They're all living in so-called the same environment. So the behaviors may be sort of the same, and therefore they link it to environmental or behavior and don't link it to it being hereditary.
Exactly.
Because we know that 85% of women who get breast cancer is not hereditary.
Yeah.
Only that 5 to 10% is. So it's like, okay. And I often think, Dr. Tiffany, because we know with African American women, for us, they say that we have a higher mortality rate, and we're being diagnosed, younger. We're getting in there, and it's the later stages. And I was talking about this the other day. I'm like, what are we doing so wrong that when we're diagnosed, it's almost fatal for us?
And I had that very discussion with my oncologist. I see Dr. Lisa Batty, associated with Immune Resurrection. And she had that conversation with me day one. She said, look, I have to treat your cancer aggressively because you have an aggressive form. And she also told me, she was just blunt. She was really direct. She said, look, you're African American.
What was her name again?
Dr. Lisa Batty,
okay.
Baddi.
Okay.
And she was very to the point. She said, look, you're African American. And I don't know why, but African American women tend to succumb to cancer faster and more than any other race. And she is a researcher, she's heavy into trying to fight the cause and understand it. And when she told me that, it hurt. It hurt because what is it? What is it in us? What is it? Is it the melanin in our skin? Is it, our genetic composition? What is it? And so they don't know. Scientists cannot figure out why African Americans typically get it more often. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. People think it's the food. They think it's everything else, but we don't know. We just don't know.
Which is scary, because if they don't know, then how can you give us advice on what to do and how to protect ourselves and how to minimize our risk if you don't know how to treat us?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I am an advocate now. I definitely want to lobby for a lot of different things as far as research go. And I want it to be targeted specifically to African American. Because right now we don't have anyone fighting for that. We don't have a lot of people fighting to figure out why we are getting it the way that we are getting it. And why is ours always so aggressive? And my breast cancer was triple positive. So I had the 3 big cannons, which means that my cancer was fueled by estrogen, progesterone, and HER2. Okay, HER2 positive gene. And so they knew exactly the cause of my cancer inside, and they were able to just targeted with all guns blazing. and there are 15 different combinations of breast cancer that you can get. And me, my sister, my mom, and my niece, we all had different forms of breast cancer. We did not have the same.
Wow. Which is kind of, because if you would think if it was hereditary, then you would think it would be breast cancer. It would be the same. It would be kind of mimic each other.
Yeah. No, it definitely didn't. Our treatments were different. Our diagnoses were different. So our treatments were different. I had the double mastectomy. So I had cancer in my right breast. And when they first diagnosed me, they was like, oh, you're stage 1. You could just do the lumpectomy. And I was like, okay, great. Like my sister had. I said, great, let's do it. And then upon further testing, I had the cancer, and then I had 3 more areas in my right breast, and it had already went into a lymph node. And so they's like, yeah, no, you're actually stage 2, heading into stage 3. We're going to have to remove the one breast. And I said, no, you're not going to remove the one breast. You're going to take both. I was like, I just did not want to do it again. And my mom, she had a mastectomy in 2007. And then 1 month, she had a single. 1 month before I was diagnosed, they found cancer in her remaining breast. And she decided. So in 2021, she decided to just do the mastectomy again. So in knowing that, I said, we're not going to do that. We're just going to avoid that, take them both, give me a whole new set, and we'll be good to go.
I don't blame you. It's traumatizing. It really is. It's, I don't think people realize how traumatizing cancer is. Hearing the words cancer and then the devastation of going through the actual treatment that you really deal with for the rest of your life, because you're dealing with the aftermath of treatment, the collateral damage of treatment, everything that comes along with it. Angela, absolutely. I'm sorry. Angela says, to be honest, there's been women that she has met that's younger than 30 diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's very much on the rise, especially in African-American women. And that's so true. So, and then this is why you have individuals like Dr. Tiffany that are out there advocating for women to always say be breast self-aware. You do those breast exams. When something is not normal, you wait a couple of weeks, and if it's still there, then we should be addressing it. No matter how scary it is, address it so that you can get on top of it. I'm going to say that because we already know that they say early detection for a reason, because there's no cure. So the earlier you can find your lump or any type of symptoms of breast cancer, the more options you will have for treatment.
Yes, I could not have said it any better, because early detection, and we hear that catchphrase all the time, early detection is key, it's key, it's key. It literally saved me. It literally saved my mom, my niece, my sister. And because I was observant to my body, okay, and I reacted quickly. I didn't put it off. I didn't say, oh, I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm working. I'm traveling. I'm doing this. And that's how we are. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. And I had a very, very, very busy
Wait,
life.
Did you say you was a grandmother?
I am.
Oh, you look so young. You look so young.
Thank you. Look, I appreciate that. Yes. Yes, I have one son. He's 30.
Wow.
He's 30. And, 4 grandbabies. And I just think of how we are busy, and we always, especially us Black women, we are so busy taking care of everybody else that we put us last. And we will walk around with something ailing us and bothering us and make sure that everybody else is okay before we're okay. And so it's fine to take care of other people, but you have to take care of your breasts first, take care of your body first. And right now, knowing that breast cancer is spreading like COVID right about now, you really have to be observant. And because the earlier they catch it, they can treat it. And I was able to get a very aggressive form of treatment. I did 1 year total of of chemotherapy. I did 1 year total of chemotherapy. I did 25 rounds of radiation. I had the double mastectomy, and I just did my reconstruction in May of this year. And so it's only been about 6 months since my reconstruction, and it's going on 2024, which is right at our back door, is going on my 3rd year of undergoing everything that I've gone through. And I'm not done. I have to finish I have to do treatments for the next 5 years.
Wow.
Because I am HER2 positive. And so I have to continue going monthly to get injections. I have an entire basket of pills that sit next to my nightstand upstairs that I have to take. I have a whole regimen of things that I have to do for the next 5 years of my life.
Wow. And I think people don't really get that. They look at you, and if someone were to look at you, they would say, "Oh, okay, you're done with treatment, you're well." But they don't know, oh my goodness, it's so much that goes into. Now we got to do the maintenance part of it. I've done the surgery and all of that, but now I have to do the maintenance to make sure that this beast doesn't come back. Like, there's things that you have to do, and unfortunately, you feel like once you go through all of the treatment and the radiation and all of this toxins dripping in your body, you feel like, okay, once you're done with that, you feel like, oh, I'm done. And then here they are. Oh no, here you are. Here you are, Dr. Tiffany. Here's a basket of pills you got to take. And you got to do this and you got to do that. You like, when is this going to end?
And we have to accept that it's a part of, once we are diagnosed and when we beat it, we have to accept that it is a part of your life. It's just a part of your life. It's not an assignment that you asked for, but you were given.
Ooh,
and you have to carry it out. And I know people love that saying that God gives things to his strongest soldiers. Okay. We hear that saying all the time. But there is a lot of truth to that. And so I was given this and I have to carry it out. And I know this wasn't entirely for me. It was for me to go. I had to walk through the fire so that I can carry other women through theirs. Yes. And so I know that, as you say, people look at me and they're like, oh, you seem perfectly fine. You're healthy. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see me when I lost all of my hair. Every bit of it. When I lost my fingernails, all of them just fell off one day. They didn't warn me about that. It just happened and it freaked me out. My toenails, lost all of my toenails. They just fell off in the shower. And so I now have nerve damage. So I also suffer from neuropathy really badly. It's just a lot of side effects to chemo. Chemo has its good and it has its bad. So, to this day, I have episodes where my neuropathy flares up and it really affects my hands and my feet. And a lot of times my face, my jaw, and everything else. And I cannot move. It's very painful. I don't know when it's happening. I had to change my entire diet. I can no longer eat the way I used to eat. I've lost over 60 pounds total from cancer. And then I decided to, make a lemon martini out of the lemons and just take care of myself. I work out, I eat well, and I just want to make sure that I'm here as long as possible. Yeah, the meds are going to do their job, but I got to do my job too. So a lot of people, chemo, radiation, I still have burns from the radiation. It's a lot. It's a lot that happens post-cancer that people don't talk about. They don't want to talk about. They want to forget it. They want to put it out their minds. But I'm here to talk about the uncomfortable things, talk about what I went through during my chemo that a lot of people don't want to talk about, having to wear Depends. My teeth fell out. I had to get new teeth. So those are the things that people don't understand by looking at us, what we fully go through, which is why a lot of women go through this battle in silence.
Yes.
They go through it in silence because they're embarrassed, they're afraid, and they're embarrassed. And so I'm not. As I said, I documented everything on Facebook from beginning to end, from showing the tumor on my first visit on the ultrasound and things like that. I decided to show women the grit of it. And because I did that, women from all over the country, I have women out the country contact me and say, thank you. I feel like I'm being seen. Someone understands. I can't talk to people who's never been through it before. I had women who said, I went through it and no one knew. I had people say, my mother passed from breast cancer and she never talked about it, but listening to you, I understand more and think back more. And now it's starting to make sense to me why she did what she did and how she, so it was almost as if I put them back on the path and they can understand what their mother was going through. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I can help everybody dealing with this. And because it's not going to go away.
Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Dawn said we are caretakers and we need to take care of ourselves first.
Yes, we do.
Come first. If you are tuned in right now to Warriors Talk, we're live on Intellectual Radio and we're talking about breast cancer, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're talking to Dr. Tiffany White. And trust me, she's giving us the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I hope y'all are taking in these gems right now because we need to show a realistic picture of what breast cancer looks like. We're getting ready to close out Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as Dr. Tiffany said, she does this 24/7, 365. It's more than about pink ribbons. It's more than about, all of the pink products that you buy. But there are people suffering behind this disease. There are people losing their life behind this disease. And we cannot share and spread awareness enough.
So true.
We can. So, Dr. Tiffany, I wanted to know, because I asked all of my guests when they come on about the why me moment or the why not me moment. Mm-hmm. And because you had at least, 3 other women in your family, was it three other women in your family that had breast cancer? And here you are. Were you thinking at some point, I'm next?
Never. There are 9 girls in my family, 1 boy. And out of all of my mom's children, it never crossed my mind because I had been through so much in my life already. I was just like, whew, okay, I made it through all of that. I should be good now. It never, ever crossed my mind that I would have to take on this journey because even when I found the lump, I was just like, oh, it's just a mosquito bite. Like, it never dawned on me that it could possibly be more than that. Even though I did my breast exams every month, it wasn't like I was doing it kind of like willing that it'll happen to me, because a lot of women are afraid to do their breast exams because they feel like they're going to bring it upon them. Like they're going laws of attraction. Like I'm going to attract it to me if I constantly touch my breast and things like that. But no, I did it and never thought that.
So what advice would you give someone when you're thinking about being breast self-aware and how important it is to be one with your breasts in order to be proactive?
I would say you touch your body when you bathe, when you shower. We've had this body since we were born. It's the same body that I got in the 70s, okay? And I know my body better than anyone else. You know your body better than anyone else because you literally touch it every day in the bath and the shower. And so my advice to you is get really familiar, pay attention, be observant. Don't dismiss something as, oh, it's probably just a mole or a rash or this. Don't dismiss it. Don't feel like you are bothering the doctor. Don't feel like you are wasting a copay. Don't feel like you don't have time to take off work and go get this done. Make time. Make time. Because that one decision to wait can be the difference between survival or not. And so that's not to scare anyone, but that's the God to honest truth. And so make sure that when you are doing your showers, a lot of times in the shower, I would do it because as I am reaching under my arms and going across my breast with the washcloth and everything like that, don't use the towel. Sometimes just use your hand to feel and squeeze and make sure that everything feels okay. Even if you feel like, oh, I'm not sure, I think I feel something, have it looked at. I had a speaking engagement yesterday and I told them, I said, oh, I run my insurance card up like a credit card. I don't care. I do not care. That's why I have it. And I make sure that I use it. And, have a good relationship with your doctors. Like I always have. I've had the same doctors for over 15 years and they know me, and so having a good team that makes you feel comfortable for those little things is very important. Very important. It's their job. It's literally their job. In essence, they work for you. You don't work for them. And you have to remember that. And so just make sure that, you get in tune with your body. Make sure your husband is even in tune with your body. Your mate is in tune with your body. And I say that because I had a girlfriend who her boyfriend found her cancer. And so don't be ashamed of that. Don't be ashamed of that. That can happen. Okay. Someone else can literally find your cancer for you. And so that's my best advice. Just be observant.
Some awesome advice. Awesome. What would you say, Dr. Tiffany, was one of your most difficult challenges going through this cancer journey?
The most difficult thing was probably trying to stay strong for the sake of my mother and my father, because my mom lost a child. My sister, she passed away back in 98. It was unexpected. And all I kept thinking was, I have to be strong for my mom. Like I can't be the one to succumb to this. And I had my breaking point 3 months into chemo. And it was hard because the hardest thing was I never processed that I had cancer. I never stopped to process that I had cancer. Oftentimes, especially as women, as Black women, we push. They always say push, move forward, keep going, don't stop. And so I instantly went into, okay, let's do this, let's fight, I never stopped to process. And it wasn't until my 3rd month, I never cried during my cancer journey until month 3 into chemo. And it was before Christmas. I usually would get my treatments on Wednesday, and 2 days later, I would always crash. So I would crash from the chemo 2 days after. And I knew I would be sick on Christmas because I had treatment on December 23rd. And I got on Facebook to talk like I normally talk and be positive and give updates. And out of nowhere, the spirit just hit me. The reality hit me that you have cancer. 3 months into my journey. And I bawled my eyes out on camera. It was not expected. It was not planned. It took me by surprise. And I didn't turn the camera off. I let the raw emotions show. People needed to see that I was vulnerable, and I was okay with being vulnerable, because someone else going through that plight, or someone who will go through that plight, needed to know it's okay to be vulnerable. And that was the hardest thing for me, accepting it.
And until you do that, once you accept it, you process it, you accept it first, then you got to process, okay, this is what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's easy for you to start sharing it with people because like you said, there were so many women right now that hide their shame. They don't want nobody to know what they're going through. And it could be because they haven't accepted it yet.
Yeah, I met some great women yesterday on a panel. And some of them talked about how, they cried and they cried and they cried some more. When they got diagnosed, they got it all out. That didn't happen for me. So it took months. And to this day, I can only recall crying really hard once throughout this entire journey. And I just think that women who get it out in the beginning, I admire you. I commend you, because that means you're accepting it.
And everybody do it in their own timing. So, we often compare ourselves to other people, but it's in your own timing.
It's in your own timing, and it's your journey. You run this race the way you want to run this race. Don't let anybody else tell you how to run your race. There were people that told me I should not tell. I had people say, you don't have to tell people right away. I had people tell me, why are you telling all your business? And I said, because I'm tired of that. I'm tired of us as a culture who want to hide everything and only show the good, and who want to, not appear to be weak, or, I can't let anybody know my business and everything like that. But your business could save someone else.
Yes.
It could save someone else. So no, this assignment was not for me to keep. I remember having that discussion with my mother, and, she's a faith-based woman, her and my dad. I come from a faith-based family, grew up in church and everything. And I explained it to my mother, because she come from the old school, and I was like, no, Mom, when it's your journey, when it's your assignment, you can't be quiet. What if Jesus was quiet? Where would we be? So I was like, no, I got to do it.
Well, I commend you for sharing your story. Kenya says she's talking about the insurance, as we should, because you pay insurance. You pay insurance to use it, not to just let it sit there. She said she spoke to a lady today, and she told me that her cancer has now metastasized and is basically taken over her body. And she told me she does not know if she's going to further her treatment. She thinks that she's going to stop, and she's only 54 years old. And 54 years old because she told me that her kids are grown now and that they would be all right. Mm-hmm. Ooh, wow.
And it's heartbreaking to hear, but I understand her. And I say that because midway through everything for me, I was like, Lord, let thy will be done. I'm tired. I kept saying it, I'm tired. But as I kept saying I'm tired, I feel like I got worse, because the body follows the mind. And people have to understand, so you think it, so it will be. And so you have to, even if you physically can't lift your head, which many times I could not, you have to make sure your brain just keeps saying, fight, go, fight to the end, fight to the end. And I think that's what helped me in my journey, is that I kept making sure that my mind told my body what to do. And I'm a true believer of that. I really am. You really have to get this intact before this is intact.
It's important. You need that balance. You can't leave it out.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, Dr. Tiffany, about your role with Sisters Working It Out?
Yeah, so Miss Beulah, she definitely is a beautiful soul. She was at an event yesterday. She does events all over the city of Chicago. Her next event will be, she just handed me a flyer yesterday, November 11th. And I think the address is 4351 South Drexel. I'll confirm that for you. But yeah, with that organization, it's doing pretty much what me and so many other women are out there doing. It's just being advocates. And the goal is to try to get as many young women to join the fold and speak out, because there are so many women in their 30s with it that sometimes it takes young people to get to young people. It's like you have to be one in order to understand one. And so a lot of times yes, I can sit up here and I tell people all the time, I'm a stone throw away from 50, like right there. But the younger women have to speak up, and they have to tell, and they have to show what's really going on and what could potentially go on with, their friends, their college buddies, everything like that. And so the organization is really geared towards advocacy and trying to get a lot of the younger women to speak out and just make awareness, not only for women, but for men, because men can get breast cancer. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of men, they actually have to deal with it just like women. So just being the voice, the organization is really about being the voice. They also travel, to different states to advocate, whether it's Washington, D.C. or wherever else they are invited.
Awesome. As we wrap up, can you give us some words of wisdom about the good, the bad, and the ugly of breast cancer?
I would say people always tell you take it one day at a time. I don't say that. I say you take it 1 minute at a time, then take it 1 hour, then take it 1 day at a time. This is a journey that is overwhelming, very overwhelming, but you control how things go. You control your journey and how it is written. And you also, believe it or not, can control how it ends. So I just want to encourage you to reach out if you are dealing with breast cancer, if you are a family member, a mate, a husband, or someone who is dealing with breast cancer of a loved one. You too need advocacy. You too need a network to support you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone to say, hey, I'm scared. I need someone to hold my hand. I need someone to go with me to the doctor. Like, don't be afraid, because there are a lot of us out here who been in your shoes. We walked your walk, and we're still here so that we can hold your hand to walk your walk. And that's the best advice that I can give you. You take it 1 day at a time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany. I appreciate your yes for coming on to share your wisdom, your journey, your advocacy with us. Keep soaring. So many people, so many women and men need to hear the raw, ugly truth, and they need that push. So thank you so much.
Yes, anytime.
How can they stay connected to you?
So on all of my socials, I am at Tiffany, Tiffany, Tony, Tonimua. So on every platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, warriors. We have coming up the People Show with Mark Wallace and Charles Thomas. And I'm grateful for my final sponsor, who is Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay. And she's catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. Just go to marykay.com/GDOTSON and make sure you tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. And Warriors Talk is always looking for guests to come on and share their cancer journey. All you need to do is just email me or inbox me, You can email me at warriorstalk1@gmail.com and let me know that you are ready to share. And you can come on and share your story. We'll be glad to hear it. I will leave you guys with these words of wisdom. Cancer is not a death sentence, but it is an awakening to live your best life. Thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on IntellectualRadio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.